I love. So sad that it's not active anymore, but it's a great journal. This is called Scales, and this is a Grace poem. And I'm just going to say I love snakes before I start reading it. I do a lot of hiking and backpacking. So a lot of my social media is these different snake identification posts. And I'm always like looking at it. And my husband always jokes, he's like, are you looking at your snake porn? But you need to know on the trail if you can step across it or if you have to wait it out. So this is called Scales. When snakes writhe up from the thawed ground, she steps carefully and tries not to begrudge the cold-blooded desire, which leaves the creatures undulating in the sun-warmed gravel or threading themselves through the south-facing porch rails. Something languid and true in their unbinding, in their spring hunger. She finds them swallowing eggs in the chicken house, fledglings in the red buds, even cicadas slick with their own unsheathing. Down by the creek, she happens upon a black racer, jaw unhinged around a lifeless copperhead, the dead snake so large she wonders how the other will complete the job. Noel tells her to take the 22 when she goes walking, that it's an hour at least to a hospital that could treat a strike from a timber rattler. But she prefers to watch the ground. Secretly, she studies the skins shed on the rocks that line the garden, runs her fingertips over scales transformed to dust. Time was she, too, could have swallowed the world whole. Thanks. Oh, I heard thunder. It's coming. So, questions?
Yes, let's see. Everybody, if you have any questions for Julie, go ahead and put them in the chat. But we do have a question from Mary Allen. So she said you used a word to describe the chapters, which was hybridity. And so we talked about like what your definition of hybridity is. Did you have any further questions about that, Mary, that you wanted to ask, or were you satisfied with her? Okay, great. Let's see. Okay, so we have, oh, there was another word she used
I
about the
will
chapters.
I will say that I used to feel really ashamed of the hybridity in my work.
Yeah.
I used to feel really ashamed that I couldn't get right to plot, that I spent so long on language and thought about language so hard in my prose. And I used to feel really, really self-conscious about the narrative element of my poems. And I love the language poets. I love poets that do all of these like really fun experimental things. But stories kept coming out in my poems. And so I finally kind of gotten comfortable with it. In middle age, I'm just like, they're going to tell a story and that's okay.
Like, it is what it is, guys. No, I love it. You just have to surrender. Oh wait, Deidre, you raised your hand.
Yeah, your scene work is so vivid. How do you decide which parts need to be in scene and which parts should be in narration?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that scene work is so tied to setting, right? It's tied to place. It's the rooms, it's the places where we're moving our characters. And I think because I'm so comfortable with place that that I sit there a lot. That's kind of like where I find the story. So a lot of it a lot of it happens there. And the poems that I was reading, they're third person, but they're to steal a term from fiction. They're heavily focalized through these characters. And that, I mean, there's always a narrator, right? Even when it's third person, there's always somebody speaking. But I feel like that third person, oh, I have to acknowledge the thunderstorm before I can go on. Okay. I feel like that third person point of view gives you a little bit more flexibility with different kinds of distance, both spatial and narrative. And for me, I needed that with this project. I needed to pull back sometimes and have it be a little bit more cinematic. And other times I needed to zoom in really tight to one of the characters' heads.
No, I really like that idea of cinematic. You're bringing yet another genre in, aren't you? No, I'm just kidding. No, I love that. I love that so much. And Jennifer asked if you're able to name other authors who I guess you would say do the hybridity or like multi-genre, cross-genre really well. Do you have people? I mean, I think of Lars Horn in Voice of the Fish, but who are some people for you that you
Sure. Hi, Jen.
Hi there.
You know, this particular project, I really got the idea for how I formatted it from Thomas and Beulah, Rita Dove's book from like the 80s. I love that book so much. It came out with Carnegie Mellon, and half of they're all, a lot of them are very narrative poems, and half of them are she's sort of channeling the voices of her, I think, but I can't remember if it's maternal or paternal, but one set of grandparents, and it's their courtship and their marriage. And I really loved how she just sort of channeled and braided. She doesn't braid, but you feel the braiding. Half of it from Thomas, half from Beulah. That was a really big influence for this book for me. And I love Rita Dove's work, and a lot of it's very, very narrative. So I would say her. I love, even though she's a semi-formalist, I would say a lot of her poems are sonnets, but I love Claudia Emerson's work, and I think she tells a fantastic story in some of her poems. So I would say both of them. I love Amy Nessa Kumatato. You know, she's got a lot of really narrative poems. She's got all different kinds of poems, but I love her work. Those are three.
You know what I want to ask you, or not even ask you, I just want to tell you to read these books. You probably have read them already. Now this is emphasizing the prose. They're prose writers, but it's highly poetic. And I've always found, I mean, Julie and I go way back, and I do find Julie always has been a beautifully, poetic prose writer. It's just, she really has, since like she was kid practically. So, but I want to know if you've read,
she knew me when I was a kid.
I did. Bob too, by the way. But you Make This Place Beautiful. Is that what it's called? By Maggie Smith or Nelson?
Yeah, Maggie Smith. I love that book. Yeah, I've heard her read a couple times, and yeah.
Okay, so that that's great prose, and she's just a beautiful writer. One other I want you to totally read. It's brand new. Jessica Sofer. This is a love story.
I want to. Yeah.
You should read it because she writes beautifully like you do. And I guess I do have a quick question for you on this topic. I find to write so richly the way you do, the individual sentence must take you a much longer time than it takes some of us dull-witted writers. So tell me, are you is the individual sentence taking you a really long time to write?
I am notoriously slow. So my husband is a writer, and we do writing dates once a week where we go to Purdy's, this coffee house, and we write for 3 hours. And then when we're walking home, we'll talk about what we wrote. And he'll be like, oh, in 3 hours, I wrote like 17 pages. And then I went through and cut part of a paragraph. And I'll be like, oh, I wrote 3 sentences.
Wow.
I cut a sentence. Like sometimes it's that slow. But I do a lot of revision as I go. Like when I sit down, I'll go back and read over the poem I'm working on several times. Or even when I was writing the novel, I would go back to the beginning of the chapter and read and revise before I started writing again. So it's kind of a very slow, like tedious circling back kind of process. But I don't do as much revision. Like it's a lot of times it's done when it's done.
That's
and
great.
and he's much more of a like, I have to go back and chop and reorganize. And so I think it just depends on what end you're doing the work on.
Thanks.
I love that. You actually kind of answered Nancy's question about do you edit a lot, or once you are in flow, is this naturally pouring out? And I'm assuming I know the answer, but I would love for you. You tend to edit as you go, so that you're not having to go back across the whole manuscript typically, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I edit as I go, and I there are times when I can get a lot more done. I try to do a writing residency at least once a year. At first I struggled a lot with mom guilt to go away for a few weeks, but I don't struggle anymore because my kids will like walk past where Bob is watching soccer to throw themselves at the shut office door to ask me to make mac and cheese or something. And so I don't struggle with that guilt anymore. And when I'm in residence, I can write a lot more. You know, I'll write in like 2 4-hour blocks a day, and I feel like I do then tap into something where I can get it down on the page much more quickly. I guess it's like anything, like where you work that muscle, right? And when you're in writing residency, it's like you're in like Olympian writing shape.
Exactly. No, you give your body the chance to like get in flow and then get in flow again the next day, right? Like that, of course it's going to feel easier because that you've unstoppered it, right? It's like coming out already. No, I love that so much. Okay, let's see. So we have oh, Mary Allen, I just learned about the high bun. Do you ever do that?
No, but I want to. And the project that I'm working on now, so I've finished Bent Cedar Mountain and I'm just sending it out. It was a finalist for a few contests, but it hasn't hit, but I'm sending it out. And I'm not going to mess with it anymore. I decided that it's done. And so the next poetry project that I'm working on is has the working title Karst. And there are a lot of poems about the different ways that the brain can work. So there are poems about neurodiversity. My son's on the autism spectrum. I cared for my father-in-law for several years when he was declining with Alzheimer's. My husband has had a traumatic brain injury, and there was a lot of therapy and just sort of changing the way we communicated as he was coming back from that. So there are a lot of poems, narrative poems about that. But then there are these poems that I'm writing about karst landscapes, and I've only worked on the narrative poems so far, but I've done some travel and photographing and visiting and hiking in these spaces with guides, like in the Burren in Ireland. I got a grant from Kentucky Foundation for Women, and so I spent a few days in the Burren. So I have all of these photographs of these beautiful karst landscapes, and Kentucky's a karst landscape, right? And so it can make these beautiful arches, but it can also like sink, what was it, like 40 Corvettes at the Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, a giant sinkhole. And so my idea is that these karst poems, I want to write them as haibans. So there'll be this prose description, and then karst landscapes form right from when minerals and rainwater eat away at the rock, the limestone, and they make something really beautiful, even though it's greatly changed. And so I don't know if it's going to work or not, but my hope is that these landscape poems will be haibans, but I don't know.
I mean, Basho, the OG, the High
Right.
Bun Master. I mean, he was writing about
Right.
landscapes. If y'all are interested in high buns and haven't read Basho, you should. He's like, he was my first introduction to them as well. That would be so cool, Julie. Please keep us posted on that project. That sounds so cool. I'd never heard of a karst landscape. I just looked, I was like, what is this? That's so neat. That's so cool. Let's see. So do we have any last minute questions? Because if not, I might ask Julie to read one more piece. I think I'm feeling a consensus of please, Julie, read one more if you don't mind. If you have something, yeah. Oh, you're muted.
Maybe I'll read one more of the intercalary chapters from the novel. We'll
Is that
finish with.
spelled INTER or ENT?
Lord, you're gonna ask me how to spell things. I think it's INTERCALARY. I hope. I
That
would
was
never
the word. That was the word I wanted.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
so sorry, Mary.
Well,
I
no,
misread.
no. I thought I'd misheard totally.
I think that's how you spell it. Who's a good
But,
speller?
but define it for
Intercalary.
me. I'll look it up.
I mean, really, I think it just means like inner chapter, right?
Is it? Oh wait,
Intercalary?
hold. Intercalary.
I'm a terrible speller.
Let me see. No, I don't want AI to answer
I
it
got
for
two
me.
new words.
Intercalary. Okay, yeah. So the definition is it's an adjective of a day or month inserted in the calendar to harmonize it with the solar year. So like leap day is an intercalary date. Or
Maybe
in
that's
botany,
not the right one.
or in botany is the located between in the meristem of a plant located between its daughter cells, especially in a grass or at the near of a base leaf. But I feel like Merriam-Webster may just not be a writer and know how it's used in the context of literature. Yeah, intercalary chapter is a term to search.
Yeah.
Okay. Got
Like
it.
the ones
Thank
that
you,
I
Kim.
really think of are like in Hemingway's In Our Time, those vignettes, right? That are
Yeah.
so tiny but they're between the longer
I
narrative.
searched the wrong definition. I just searched intercalary. Intercalary chapter is what Kim says what we need to look up.
I
So
could have just made it up and I could have misspelled it. Like both of those
No,
things are
it says
don't-
that it's a chapter that breaks from the main narrative flow, often
Okay.
to provide background information, context, or a different perspective on the main story.
Yay. Okay.
Thank
We
you.
solved
Yes.
the mystery.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Take it away, Julie.
So here's another with another boring title. This one is called Intercalary Chapter 4, Wren in the Boathouse. My sister reclines on her elbows on a pallet of canvas. Her head is thrown back, her legs draped long across the boy's shoulders. Their bodies are slick with humidity and effort. Her bare, sun-browned limbs radiate power. Something hums beneath her skin. A marvel it is to be in this form, to be inside this skin. My sister is suddenly in love with her body. This is a love that can only truly be born under the influence of another's desire, because her body beneath his hands is something she never knew until now. When she opens her eyes, she can see shadows projected by the Coleman lantern, the lovely arch of his back cast onto limestone, the flowering halo of her own loose hair. She can see the two of them moving, slow and silent as old cinema. When she closes her eyes, she can feel the lake lapping against the stone walls, languid, not unlike the pulse of his tongue against her body. Beyond the walls, up a long sloping lawn, Scotland, that's the name of a mansion there, stands sentry. The mansion is locked tight for the season. The windows are bolted, some of them shuttered. The dark glass professed nothing when, was it really only an hour ago? Wren, her throat still warm from liquor, cupped her hands and leaned in, yelling, "Hello in there." The drapes were drawn. The boy explained, the furniture slip-covered. They won't be back until Christmas time, he'd said. All that intricate work, and people will only see it a few weeks out of the year. The cruiser, which bobbed in this boathouse on the 4th of July, is dry docked at the marina until next summer. My sister looks up and breathes in this place. The roof is sharply pitched in cedar, huge beams conjoined 20 feet overhead. The spicy scent of the wood drifts down, blending with the heat of their bodies and the smell of the mossy stones. She senses already the mystery inside her body. Like the sandy stones we cracked into sparkling geodes on the carport those first days at Five Oaks, she is ready to break open. He is stretched fully across the length of her body now, his face burrowing through her hair into the crook of her neck. "You okay?" he whispers. The empty boat slip stretches toward the lake, toward the night sky. My sister can feel that hollow space just feet away, feel the water breathing up from it. It is as if they are in a grotto. She knows her body must contain the same black depths. She doesn't answer, just arches her hips to meet his. Thanks. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for having me.
Yes, everybody, you can unmute yourselves to clap if you want.
So gorgeous. Thank you, Julie.
Wonderful.
so
Good to hear
much.
you read.
That was fabulous.
Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, thank you everybody for being here, and we'll see you next month for our June open.
Yay.
Okay.
And
Take
thank you,
care, everybody.
Sue. Thank you,
Bye.
Sue. Thank you,
night.
Deidre.
Bye.
You know, Julie, I think this is my first time hearing you read.
Oh,
And
really?
I am so happy that I had this